Welcome to the weekly shir, the Zera Shimshon. It's Tes Vav Mar Cheshvan Tafshin Pei Aleph. Mitzvah Shem, we're going to do a piece from the Zera Shimshon, a short piece, because I don't want to make everybody I don't want to do this too long for everybody, and there's a lot of things going on. But it's very pertinent. It's Daled. I picked the one that's very short. So this week's Parsha last week's Parsha was Lech. So Rashi explains in Lech, and first Rashi it says, Lahanascha l'tayvascha. It's for your benefit and your pleasure. The kan iato zeicha lebanim. Okay, God told Avram in Haran, you're not going to be privileged to children. Like it says in Bereshis, it says, Mashma mi pirushai. So if he would stay in Haran, he wouldn't have had children at all. Because traveling causes a few things to happen. It diminishes your money, it diminishes your time with your wife. So you can't reproduce very well. So there won't be any progeny. The problem is, he told him to leave, and that means traveling a lot. You could take a look how far Haran is from Eretz Yisrael. It's a few weeks, if not months, of travel. Therefore, he promised him that he would have children. Al habanim. The mashma she'im hayo mesakiv kan yiyol loiban. It's in the contradiction is that if he would have stayed here, he would have had children because he wasn't traveling. Because only the problem is that the traveling causes him not to be able to reproduce. So therefore he has to promise him that he's going to have children. He comes out, Rashi's contradicting himself. That's all the Meforshim asked. Now, Nira the Tarts, he wants to give a teretz, means a straightening out of the explanation. Why does Rashi say two different things? But Maya Amrina b'Perek Kama de Rosh Hashanah, we said in the first parak of Rosh Hashanah, and I'll just quote part of the Gemara here. It's Daf Tes Zayin on the base. Omer Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, Arba Dvarim Mekarim Gezar Dina Shalodam. There's four things that rip up the Gezar Din of a person. Ve'elohim. These are tzedakah, giving charity. Tze'aka, screaming out to Hashem. Shinui Hashem, changing your name. Shinui Maise, and changing your deeds. In other words, improving yourself. And there's a Yesh Oimrim, and he brings rise for all these things for Psukim. And the Yesh Oimrim says, Af Shinui Makam. This is what it's got to do with us. That even changing your place, changing where you live. The Chesiva says, Vayomer Hashem al Avram, Lech lecho mi'artzecho. Okay, so you leave your land, and you will have a blessing. And then it says back at the further psukim, it says, and then I'll make you a great nation. All right, what about the other ones, the other four that don't count this? Shinui Makam. It was the merits of Eretz Yisrael that helped him have children. Okay, so the Zera Shimshon continues. Af anu nemar lefi emes. So we'll also say according to the truth. Im hayo Avram Isakiv kan loy hayo loy banim bezeh makan. That really Avram wouldn't have had children in Haran if he would have stayed there. That's where he was. Maybe he didn't have to go so far, Eretz Yisrael. Maybe another place that was closer, Damascus or something. Not such a big bother to go there. Gorem is the mute, right? So traveling so far causes a loss of a lot of things, money and fame and not having children. Therefore, he had to promise him that he would have children. According to the one that says that changing your place helps you to have blessings. But you could say that changing the place didn't help at all. Like the svara of the first opinion, which says there's only 4 things that help you get a blessing. Said it, even if you change where you live, and go to another place, it's not a certainty that there's changing your location where you live is going to help you. But it needs the merit of the place itself. Okay? So not only changing where you live, but being changed to a place that is more meritorious. That he should go to Eretz Yisrael. That's what he means, Rashi. Here, you're not privileged to children. Dafka hazoicha means he's not zeicha to children here, but in Eretz Yisrael, he will be zeicha. Okay, now we have a short segula, which we didn't have last week. So in Parshat Lech, he expresses a very important principle. Aaron Dov Weinberg had a son who had been seeking a zivug for a long time, with no success. When he, or Aaron Dov, happened to come across the Sefer Zera Shimshon, and heard about the many Yeshuas that have been experienced by those who made it part of their lives, Aaron Dov decided that he wanted to do something more than just learn the Sefer. He considered the matter for a while, and eventually he contacted Rabbi Chaim Kanievski and offered to sponsor the cost of publishing the weekly Niflois HaShimshon newsletter. You have to understand something, Rabbi Chaim explained to me. I have seen the same story over and over. Many times people find out about the Sefer and begin learning it. They are hoping for a Yeshua, and sometimes it happens right away, but sometimes it doesn't, and then people get frustrated. What I've seen many times is that people who decide to go above and beyond just learning the Sefer, they will actually try to do something for the author, either help publish a Sforim or sponsor a shir, or send out weekly email and give a shir for themselves. And in so many cases, I've seen that when people go the extra mile, they merit to see salvations of their own. I call it a little Mesiras Nefesh of their own. Because at the end of the day, Hashem runs the world, and just because a person follows a segula doesn't mean that he'll get the result he's hoping for. In fact, the Or Chaim HaKadosh on Parshat Lech points out a seeming contradiction involving Avram Avinu. On the one hand, it seemed that Avram and Sarah are blessed with a child because Avimelech davens for them. And on the other hand, it seems the merit lay in the Hachnas Orchim that was such a major aspect of Avram's life and personality. In reality, the Or Chaim explains, there's no contradiction at all. Let's say there's a mitzvah of Hachnas Orchim that's a segula for children. Just because such a segula exists doesn't mean that the right guest is going to show up at your doorstep. After Avimelech davened for Avram Avinu, Hashem sent Avram the Orchim, and he was able to fulfill the segula for children. This, said Rabbi Yisrael, is a very interesting yesod, fundamental. Sometimes a person fulfills the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKan and is blessed with a child. That Shiluach HaKan means sending away a bird that's in the wild area from the nest, right? They send away the child, send away the bird's child, or take the eggs so you can be blessed with a child. That's what it says. Everyone is so happy. Look, they said, he did the mitzvah and a child was born. At the same time, they are forgetting that one important point, very important point. How come the new father didn't hear about the mitzvah Shiluach HaKan as a segula for children until now? Why did it take so many years? 10 years? The bottom line is the Rebbeinu Shalom is the one who decides when a person will have children and when a person will learn about a segula. And when Hashem decides that the time has come, he will send a person the segula that he needs to do for the bracha to come to fruition. But you have to remember that there's no way to beat the system. It is Hashem who decides and no one else. Ein oid milvadai. In the end, Rabbi Aaron Dov decided it wasn't sufficient for him to just learn the Sefer and follow the Segula. He wanted to go above and beyond, to show a little Mesiras Nefesh for the cause. Once he made his decision, he approached Rabbi Yomi Pashkes in the United States and offered to sponsor one entire edition of the newsletter. There was only one problem. He didn't actually have the necessary funds right then. Okay. Would you be willing to lay out the money in my name? Rabbi Aaron Dov asked Rabbi Binyamin, and I will pay you back when I manage to raise the funds. Rabbi Binyamin agreed. 4 months passed. One day Rabbi Binyamin ran into Rabbi Aaron Dov. Rabbi Binyamin, I'm so happy that we met. Why is that? Because if you recall, although I wanted to sponsor the Parsha, and although you credited me with funding that week's edition, I still haven't given you the money that I owe. It so happened that I am now in position to do so. Rabbi Aaron Dov handed Binyamin the money that he owed, and they shook hands. I've been meaning to ask you if anything changed in your matzav, in your situation. Rabbi Binyamin said to his friend. So not yet, Rabbi Aaron Dov replied, but maybe now that I actually gave you the money and fulfilled my promise, something will happen. So Rabbi Aaron Dov called Rabbi Binyamin Pashkes later that evening. I just wanted to tell you that I received a very interesting phone call today. Really? Who called you? A shadchan. And it was exactly the kind of shidduch we've been waiting for. Keep me posted, said Rabbi Binyamin. You know I will, said Rabbi Aaron Dov. And his Aaron Dov's son was engaged 10 days later. At the end of the day, concluded Rabbi Yisrael, a person who can do everything that he's supposed to do, he can learn the perfect sefer, make the perfect donation, and do everything he's supposed to do, but Hashem is the one who decides. And when Hashem puts the idea into a person's mind that they should take up things to a next level, it could be the Ribbono Shel Olam showing them that now is the Eis Rotzain for their dreams to come true, the special time. Because the Segula is a nice thing, but Hashem is the only one who really affects change in a Jewish person's life. May everybody's help and tefillas and the segulas all come to fruition, as they say in Yiddish. Alles gets. All good things should come to pass for everybody. So Lange bencht, have a gute Woche and a gute Jahr and a gesund Jahr. Kol tov.